Today we're doing something a little bit different. I'm gonna look at a deal that I've closed and I'm gonna tell you exactly how I found the deal. I'm gonna tell you the problems that I had to solve in order to make sure that the deal made it all the way to the closing table, and I'm gonna break down the numbers of the deal so you can see exactly how much I made. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Wholesaling Freedom Channel, where I teach you exactly how I quit my 9-to-5 job and built a successful wholesaling business. If you're new here, my name is Ralph, and I quit the rat race and became a full-time real estate entrepreneur, and my goal with each and every video I put out on this channel is to help you do the same. Alright, so for this deal, we found it through our probate list. Probate is what happens when somebody dies and they own property. So typically what happens when somebody passes away, the properties that they own get passed off to their family members. So this particular deal we got through mailing. Before I get into that, I first want to talk about what wholesaling is and what it's not. Now you might be already wholesaling, you might be already deep into the game, but I just want to break down this simple nuance that actually helped me get more deals once I got my brain wrapped around what I was actually doing. If you're a wholesaler, you're not selling houses. I hear a lot of wholesalers say, yeah, I'm a wholesaler, I have houses for sale, I have deals for sale. You're not selling houses. If you're a wholesaler, what you're selling is the contract to buy the house. You're selling your right as the buyer on a contract to buy a property to another investor who's going to step in and replace you. If you're selling homes, but you don't have your realtor's license, you could get in a lot of legal trouble because that's considered brokering without a license. As a wholesaler, you are selling your contractual rights to buy the property to another investor. Now, the next thing to understand as a wholesaler, the key to what you do is not finding properties, getting them under contract, and then selling them to investors. The key to wholesaling, the whole system, the whole process, all boils down to two things. Number one, as a wholesaler, your main job is marketing. You have to go out there and find people who need to sell their homes. Whether that means cold calling, sending direct mail, PPL, pay per lead, PPC with Google ads, running Facebook ads or Instagram ads. Some people do text campaigns. Some people do driving for dollars, where they're actually knocking on doors to see if they can get in touch with those property owners. Whatever your strategy is, or however you decide to market for deals, your main job as a wholesaler is to market, to go out and hunt for people that need to sell. Now, your second job as a wholesaler is to solve problems. A lot of people want to sell their homes, but they have roadblocks that get in the way of them being able to sell their homes. Your job as a wholesaler is to come in, find those people that need to sell their homes, and then knock out as many of those roadblocks as you can. If you could learn how to remove these roadblocks and become an expert problem solver, your wholesaling business will grow 10 times as fast. All right, so let's look at this deal. We got this deal from US Leads List. US Leads List provides you with lists of people that have passed away and they own property that is going to be inherited by either their children or a spouse or some other relative or family member. We subscribe to US Leads List for several counties in our market, and every month we get a new list of properties that have recently been inherited. If you'd be interested in checking out, I'll leave a link in the description below for how you can sign up for US Leads List to start getting inherited leads sent to your mailbox every month starting today. So typically when we get inherited lists from US Leads List, the first thing we do is we add them to our dialer and we start cold calling them. At the same time, we also send them mail. Now, direct mail is a little bit of an advanced strategy. I wouldn't suggest doing direct mail if you're just starting out, because there's a lot of things you got to learn how to figure out and manage. One of them is your sales process. If you send out direct mail, it's a little bit more expensive. So when somebody calls in, you want to make sure that you're answering that phone live and that you're prepared to listen to what the seller's saying. You're prepared to go out on an appointment and you're ready to solve problems. So if you're just starting out, I would say first continue to cold call or text until you've done at least $100,000 worth of assignments. Or if you're in a bigger market, I would suggest $200,000 worth of deals before you start going into direct mail. This will give you enough time to learn the wholesaling process from beginning to end. You'll get a lot of experience under your belt with solving seller problems and dealing with different issues that may come up, and it will really set you up for success. But once you've done enough deals and you start using direct mail, you'll find that people that call you in from your direct mail piece that are interested in selling, they are very motivated. Our biggest deals have always come from direct mail. All right, so this particular property, it was a son whose mother had passed away. He wasn't working. He was on Social Security and had a pension, but didn't have a ton of money coming in every month, and his mom had actually taken out a reverse mortgage on the property. So now the reverse mortgage was due, the son couldn't pay it, so not only did he inherit a property that he couldn't afford, he also had some health conditions that prevented him from being able to maintain the property and do simple things like cutting the grass or plowing the snow and so on. So instead of keeping the property, he decided to sell the property. We sent him a letter in the mail and he called us in, and I remember when I got this call, I had just gotten in from a couple of appointments. I was a little bit tired and I got this call, and so the seller was like, hey, I got your letter in the mail, ready to sell this property. I have a sheriff's sale date coming up, which basically means his property was going to be auctioned off at the county to the highest bidder. And so he was very motivated and ready to sell. So even though I had just gotten in, I was tired, I just got right back up, got in my car and drove about an hour to go see this property and meet with the seller. At this point, it's around 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and I sat with him in his living room for about an hour. We talked about the kind of help he needed. So one of the things he needed was he hadn't gone through the probate process yet, even though his mother had a will. And going through the probate process is a little bit challenging if you've never done it before. There's a lot of things and documents that you're going to need. Most of the time, you're probably going to need to hire an attorney to do it for you, although you can learn how to do it yourself. But a lot of times, sellers who are in these situations and they're facing a tough timeline, they don't necessarily have the time to learn the whole probate and surrogate system before they move on to sell this property. So what we did, we actually came in and solved his problem because we have probate attorneys that we work with all the time in our market. And so we reached out to one of our probate attorneys and they took on his case to help him go through the probate process. So they filed all the paperwork, they submitted all the documents, we paid the attorney's fees, and the seller was able to sell his mom's house, get all the equity he had out of the property, and then go on and rent somewhere else. All right, so this seller was already facing foreclosure, already on a fixed income, so he wasn't going to be able to afford the attorney to go through the probate process, and also he didn't really know what the probate process entailed. We came in and we helped solve his problems by making him a cash offer, so he didn't have to worry about cleaning up the place or doing anything to list it. We also took care of paying for the probate attorney, so he didn't have to worry about going out and paying retainer to hire an attorney, and we were able to sell his property before it was auctioned off at the sheriff's sale. All right, so let's break down the numbers. So it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom property. You can see in some of the pictures, it's a little bit dated. There wasn't like major rehab that needed to be done. So we got it under contract for $310,000. The after repair value on this property was around $600 to $625. We estimated around 80 grand worth of rehab that this property would need, and so we ended up selling this to an investor for $365,000. So altogether, we made a profit of around $55,000 on just this one deal. So again, these deals are out there. It's not hard to find. What it takes is consistency. We didn't get this by mailing people one time. We consistently send out mail every single month, every single week to sellers on the inherited properties list and to sellers who are facing foreclosure. Every week after week, we get people calling us in, either one saying they don't want to sell, they're not interested, or take me off their list. But there's always those sellers who are saying, yes, we want to sell the property and we need some help. So again, if you can learn to be inquisitive, figure out what the seller needs, and solve their problems, you're going to make a lot of money wholesaling. All right, guys, so that's it on this deal breakdown. If you're interested in signing up for US Leads List, don't forget to click the link at the bottom. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can keep getting all the content that we're putting out. All right, guys, see you in the next video.